as value, this is the kind of business we want to run. And until you have clarity on that, and for the sake of time, because I've already spent an hour and 20 minutes with you here, I want you to understand that as we start building these systems, we're going over into the owner realm, the architect and owner. You need this clarity to build this part because it builds systems, culture, products. It gives you your purpose and it helps you stay rooted in what it is that you're building because as you move out of this second phase, I forget what we called it. How do you get after you get through this like operator mode, right? You start building yourself into a place of either abundance or chaos. As you scale past that original marker, which I know we had up here somewhere, 0 to 20K, and you move into that 20 to 50K mark, and then 50K plus, this is where it has a tendency to go wrong. This is where I went wrong. Up until then, it's really kind of by the seat of your pants and you're trying to figure it out. And again, I think working with someone like me, take me up on, please take me up on my one-to-one call. My objective is not to sell you there. It's just to help give you clarity because I felt like if I had had one better conversation at some point in time without someone trying to sell me some nonsense, copy paste blueprint, bullshit system, whatever, just had my best interest at heart, which is what I truly want for you. God has placed on my heart to give out 25 free calls. I have a few left. Book a one-on-one call with me. It's a $50 deposit. I give the $50 deposit back. And if you decide to work with me in the back end of that, fantastic. If you don't, that's okay too. But up until this point, you're trying to just figure out what it is that you want, I think, from freelance to operator. Now, for me, I already know what these things are, so I'm going to go through them hyper quickly. And like I said, I'm going to have leverage of knowing with certainty that I can execute and act. Part of what's going to hold you back is you've not done it before, and so you won't execute as quickly as you should with the level of confidence. I'm able to sell more people than you because I've done it before. That's it. It's just reps. And so you're going to be getting your reps in through that period in your life, right? From 0 to 10K, from 10 to 20K. After you get past that part, and this is also why that was where I like broke everything back down. I fired all the clients. I went back and looked at the through line of like, who are my favorite clients to work with? What was the industries I liked working in? What gave me purpose? What gave me intentionality? What clients were the best so that I had the most leverage, that weren't trouble. They weren't calling me on the weekends. They weren't bothering me. I started setting some lines in the sand for myself of like, what do I want? And getting hyper clear on that. And if I'm saying these things and you're asking yourself the question, like, I don't know the answer to that. You need to focus on those things. It's not just a tactical, hey, I can run some ads. I'm going to get the next 20 clients and I'm going to be at $100,000 a month. There's videos out there with gurus all over the place. There are a dime a dozen. I'm not going to name all of them. You can find them everywhere. And they're absolutely correct. You can go get to $100,000 a month very quickly, but the liability of that, you owe people things. They may not be the right clients. There's going to be a tremendous amount of churn. There's going to be a lot of anxiety and pressure. And if you want to build with consistency and clarity, you have to think through these things before you get there. And you need to be thinking about them all the way along. And if you're missing any of the skill sets, we talked about the Savage Six and your ability to become a leader, somebody that can sell and compel, someone who can teach and train, who can consult. These are all things that go into being able to raise the value of what you offer, the ability to build a culture and a team that will follow you, that will get the desired outcome and result, which helps play into retention of the clients, the success with those clients. Like if you're missing any of those skill sets and you're rejecting the idea that you have to go learn how to be good at sales and you want to just use somebody's simple framework where you don't have to be really good at it, you just use like a risk reversal offer or something like that, you're going to attract the wrong clients and it's going to make it difficult, right? You can't just think about from A to Z, or I said that incorrectly, A to B, which is getting the dollars. What happens after you get the dollars? How long do you want to retain your clients for? What amount of effort and energy do you want to have to exert to keep them? Do you want to have to do, you want to get down to the point that you're walking their fucking dog? Was that ever part of the deal, but you're doing it because you don't want to lose the 20, 30 grand that you got out of the deal? How much risk and liability do you want? Like being intentional with those things will give you the ability to have a business that you're truly proud of. It gives you purpose and intention. That is not full of stress. We could grow so much faster. We could go to 2, 3, 4 million very quickly, being very concise and methodical because I've not been to the other side of that. I've not been to 2 million. I've not been to 3 million a year. And I'm trying to look for these pitfalls because my past experience says that when I move too quickly without intentionality, being quick is not a problem. Again, if you knock me down, you take everything away from me. In the next 90 days, I get close to half this back. I can move very quickly because I'm going to go get a loan against the money that I start bringing in. After bringing that first 5 or 10, I'm probably going to start with paid ads first. Gives me the most leverage. that gets me up to 10 or 20K. Then I'm going to go build the SOPs and documentation. I already have a mental framework. I know exactly what those things need to be. Then I'm going to start hiring, hire 1, 2, 3, 4, get up to the team. Like I can recreate what I have very quickly. If not 90 days, well under 6 months, but it's because I've been there before. I've not been to 3 or 4 million before. In transparency, you may not have been to 7 figures before. You may not have been to multiple 6 figures before. You want to be intentional. And again, you're going to need to lean into, if you're missing any of these skill sets, start working on those. If you're terrible at sales, work on it. If you're terrible at speaking, work on it. If you don't know how to be a consultant and speak with authority and have knowledge in your head around the industry you're trying to work in, like go work on that, supplement that. Without that, this is going to be a harder path for you. And again, as you get to architect, like you already know what the product and service is by then, or you should. So you know who to say no to, and you start building your system around that, and you start hiring around that, and knowing who the right person is for that role is important. As I put out additional podcasts, videos, whatever, I'll cover some of my frameworks for how I figure out who I'm hiring, whether they're going to be a good fit, not just from a skill set perspective, but a culture perspective. Building a digital team is much harder than building one that's all in the same building. So locally, we'll talk through some of those components. Those are going to be big hangups for that 20 to 50K mark, how you can incentivize them properly so that you don't have to micromanage them, figuring out tests that you can put them through so that you can very quickly figure out if they're the right fit, as opposed to they're there for a year, they're making everybody miserable, you're losing clients over them, etc., to get you up into this owner role. So if you're brand new, it's really just getting figured out, like, what is the niche you're going to work on, and having hyper clarity on why you picked that, not just because that industry makes money, not just because you see someone else being successful with it. How does it fit for you? And if you're at a place you're like not sure and you're having trouble figuring it out, I had a lot of trouble with that. I waited way too long to pick a niche, but it's very hard to grow and scale if you don't narrow it down. And niche can be not just the type of customer you work with, it can also be what kind of services you operate off of. At this point, I'm very niche in the fact that we don't offer social ads. I don't do social posting. I don't do anything outside of our ecosystem or realm of realistically the Google ecosystem. But again, it's bled over into AI search at this point. So search is our game. Products and services that we offer fit within that bracket. That's niche. Then we are very specific on a subset of home services that we like working on and medical that we like working on. And we have a preference towards the home services over specific medical. But I had just been through so many industries. There's almost not one that I've not touched at this point, that I had clarity on the ones that we like, that work best for our systems, work best for the products that we offer. The product that you offer can also determine whether or not the niche is correct. Because if I want to offer local SEO, that doesn't work as well for someone like a realtor as it does a tradesman that does HVAC or something like that. So freelance, you're figuring out who it is, what you want to offer, what they want, and how to get in front of them and talk to them in a way that compels them to want to work with you. And you're building case study and data. That's what I'm doing in that phase. I'm just getting the first 5 to 10. I'm getting hyper clear on what I'm offering them, creating a result, and then I'm creating case studies around that result, which help me to make sure that my ads are effective and that I'm speaking clearly to them in the ads. I'm getting a handful of calls per week, opening conversations. Remember, ads are not to get you clients, they're to open conversations and to create conversations that you can compel them. You capture their permission to convert their mindset to why they need to work with you and how what you offer them work. And that's why building that case study data and building the content and building that authority very quickly will help me move very quickly and growing and scaling that back. And as I'm getting to that place, I'm also building some small systems to get some help with the managing of the clients, but I'm still doing all the communication because retention is everything, and proper communication can help you retain clients for long term. Those are some of the first initial systems that I'm putting together and in place, but it's the last thing I'm giving up. It's the last thing I'm getting up. If I'm doing SEO, paid ads, website design, whatever, I'm hiring a web designer, I'm hiring an SEO, I'm hiring somebody to run the paid ads. I'm going to do account management, project management, customer communications and reporting. All that stuff's going to live with me because it's arguably the most important. You got sales as well. And like I said, I'm kind of in between this owner and architect role because I'm still engineering what I'm going to, for myself, feel like is the most optimal sales team. I don't want a sales team that just sells purely off of their ability to collect commission, because they're going to sell the wrong clients, which causes kinks for growth and scale long-term. And I know what that path leads to. I've been tempted in taking the risk and sold clients that I shouldn't because they were willing to pay me a lot of money. I don't want a commission-based sales team. I'm not a purely commission-based sales team. but I also don't want to just pay them a salary where they're not incentivized to actually work the leads, because I've seen companies rely on somebody who just collects a salary and they're not compelled to follow up as aggressively with the leads as they should. Sometimes there's clients that need an extra push, that need to be communicated with more, need to be followed up on. I've closed deals with great clients that end up becoming clients for years that my first touch point was a year ago, and I'm refarming them, I'm reharvesting them, going back, I'm recommunicating with them because it was the wrong time, but they've gotten to a point now that they're the right fit. And I don't want to lose those opportunities. I think in terms of, if I've got a fish that's too small, let's throw them back. Let's put them in a stock pond. Let's grow them to a point that they can then work with us. And so I'll provide resources, information, direction. Honestly, we get testimonials from people all the time that they didn't work with us on the front end. They end up working with us later, but they gave us a testimonial because of how we treated them without selling them. We just gave them value. I got them pointed in the right direction. And then they remember that and they come back to us later. So having a sales team that's purely just operating off of the salary may not be incentivized to go, hey, we haven't talked to Bob, who we talked to a year ago. Let me go chase them down and see what's up. So I'm still working on engineering a sales system that's going to be most optimal. So I still handle a lot of the sales. I have people that help me within the sales team, and they're motivated in different manners or ways. I'm still working through that. I'm going to bridge architect to owner through that, because the company can continue to operate without me. I can step away for weeks, probably a couple months at a time. No problem, no direction. They can run, no issue. I got people communicating with customer. I got people taking care of fulfillment, but the company's not going to grow on its own. And my ultimate objective to classify myself as owner fully is to have this sales system where they can run their own ads. They can collect their own leads. They'll follow up on them. They'll nurture them. They'll turn them into new opportunities and deals, sign the client. And then I will have full ownership. And you'll note, like, that doesn't necessarily bridge. You don't necessarily become an owner just because you step into 7-figure. You could still be stuck at operator or architect while doing 7 figures in revenue. And that's what I'm trying to prevent you from doing. Is that's a recipe for disaster. Again, the more money you're accepting every single month, it's more liabilities that can compound on you and drive you crazy if you haven't put rules and systems and processes and people into place for that. So if you made it all the way to the end, hopefully this was valuable to you. Gave you some food for thought, some things you haven't thought about that are outside of the scope of just the normal, like, here's how you quickly get to 7 figures. Look, dude, if you want the short and condensed version, real simple, 1, 2, 3, 4. You want to get to 7 figures fast, but you don't really care how you get there and you want to blow your life up. All an email making offers to the same niche over and over and over again. When you get the 10K plus, move to ads, run, I don't know, 1,500 to 5K in ads, take calls, hire freelancers, do comms, and sign deals. You're going to have a lot of churn through here, but as long as you keep the ads running at all times, you'll bring on enough. You'll hit your 100K months, but life will be sucky, painful. We fear, anxiety, stress, health issues. So hopefully I've given you some, and realize I didn't move it over here, health issues, relationship issues. Hopefully I've given you some clarity that this isn't just about a single result. What is the long-term? I hope that I've changed your perspective on what the long-term outcome is that you're looking for and things that you need to be on the lookout for. And again, last time I'll say it, I'm offering free phone calls. I have a few left. Hop on a phone call with me. Let's talk through it. My objective, again, is not to sell you. If you don't work with me long-term, cool. If you want to, I'll offer it to you if it makes sense. But really the objective is just to make sure that based on where you're at, figuring out what your actual constraints are, what you need to focus on, over 45 to 90 minutes, we can get hyper clear on that. I've done it several times now. And you can walk away with more clarity on what you need to focus on, as opposed to feeling like you're doing this and you never quite get over here where you want to go.